Right, and if you keep this up, we'll have your money going up with the good weather. All right, well, over the past 4 years, Iowa Hawkeyes women's basketball player Caitlin Clark has quickly become one of the most recognizable names in sports. She, of course, from Iowa, the NCAA's all-time leading scorer, and has a long list of awards and records she's broken. We've been talking about them here. But beyond all of that, she's also actually helping the economy, which is something maybe you haven't thought about. We're going to dub that Clarkonomics this morning. According to the Common Sense Institute of Iowa, Clark's popularity in driving ticket sales has generated an estimated $82.5 million in additional consumer spending in the state of Iowa over the past 3 years. Bringing us into our Clarkonomics 101 classroom is financial advisor Mark Ravicheski. Joining us live this morning. Good morning, Mark.
Morning to you, David. Great to see you again.
Good to see you as well. Well, I mean, how does Caitlin Clark's popularity on the basketball court translate to impacting the entire state of Iowa's economy?
Well, interestingly enough, there's been this growing economic analysis, often called Clark-onomics, or the Caitlin Clark effect, that analyzes the economic impact she's had on, driving TV ratings, sellout crowd, merchandise sales, sponsorship deals, even to a rise in sports betting. And it all comes down to her ability to drive consumer spending, to drive those ticket sales, the price people are willing to spend on those tickets, merchandise, stadium concessions. If fans live out of town, the money they'll spend on gasoline, hotels, restaurants to travel to and from that game. For the 2018-2019 season, the year before Caitlin Clark arrived, the Iowa women's basketball team averaged 6,563 attendees per game. This season, that average attendance has soared to 16,498. But Caitlin Clark is so popular, she drives higher attendance even when that team travels on the road. Other universities, David, report that when she shows up to play a game, their own attendance increases by an average 150%. In fact, when the Hawkeyes traveled to Northwestern back on January 31st, Northwestern reported it was their first sellout ever for a women's basketball game. And finally, the average ticket price to see an Iowa women's basketball game, including both home and away games, has risen 224% since 2020.
Wow, just incredible. And, we're talking about the impacts, of course, of Iowa economy, but she's also impacted really nationwide. Talk a little bit about that.
Well, yeah, the 14.2 million viewers for Friday night's game versus Connecticut was an all-time viewing record for a women's basketball game. That beat the previous record of 12.3 million, which was set last Monday when Iowa played LSU. And even though the numbers haven't been released yet, it's quite likely yesterday's championship game of Iowa versus South Carolina set yet another viewing record. And look, when games are nationally televised, which, let's be honest, a lot of Iowa games over the years have been due to Caitlin Clark's popularity, they generate a tremendous amount of advertising dollars. But as we just mentioned, Caitlin Clark drives ticket sales and consumer spending even when Iowa travels on road games, and all that spending helps boost those local economies.
Yes, absolutely. But also Caesars Sportsbook is reporting that a lot of people, of course, are also putting a lot of bets on women's basketball games. It's now up 190% over last year. What can you tell us about that?
That's crazy. Well, look, the record for the most money wagered on a women's sporting event, not just a basketball game, David, but any women's sporting event, was Friday night's game of Iowa versus Connecticut. And no surprise, that beat the previous record of last week's game of Iowa versus LSU. And again, most likely yesterday's championship game of Iowa versus South Carolina will again set a new gambling record. And the common element in all of these record-setting wagering events is the Iowa women's basketball team. Because Iowa's team has created such a national energy and excitement about it, it's translating to fans wanting to place bets on those games.
All right, Mark, thank you so much for your expertise this morning. It's very interesting to see how one person can really impact an entire country, right?
She just
The
had
full
an
team, too,
incredible
though.
impact.
Yes, amen. All right, Mark, thank you so much. We'll see you next Monday. Here's a look at what's coming up on GMA.